My dad always played guitar. Growing up, I never did play guitar. So I thought I would just learn 4 chords. I learned A minor, C, G, and D. In that order. I couldn't go out of order or else I got messed up. And I couldn't read music, so I just thought I'd been singing my whole life, and I'd written stories and poems my whole life, so I thought, well, I'll just make up lyrics about people as they walk by. My dad taught me to improvise. Bar singing with him all those years, you can imagine, we did a lot of gigs where nobody listened. Sometimes our shows would start at 2 in the afternoon at like veterans bars, you know, there'd just be 2 drunk guys on a stool, and it would be just me and my dad. And he'd make up lyrics about people just to kind of keep me entertained. And my dad's really a character. My dad was a single dad. He raised me and my brothers by himself, and not an easy thing to do, but he stepped up to it. And he has a very funny sense of humor, but as long as you're not the object of it. I remember when I graduated this fancy school, everybody's parents came, and they were all very nicely dressed and pearls on, very nice hair. My dad shows up, and he was wearing a sourdough's hat, like an old gold miner's hat, with a bullet hole in it, and a flannel shirt and suspenders and Carhartts rolled up with rubber boots, and he had a bear trap hung over his shoulder. You know those old iron, like rusty And my dad comes into the lobby where everybody's having a mixer, you know, like everybody's having cocktails in the lobby in their high heels, and my dad comes in and goes, like a wild man. He grew his beard out to here, like Grizzly Adams. And he started smelling people. He'd go up to those nice dressed ladies and he'd go, "Where's that girl? Where's that girl? I want to see what an educated girl smells like." My dad also makes jewelry out of animal parts. You might be a redneck if you see roadkill as accessories. They're really neat. They're like these kind of totem poles. He's very nostalgic, and my dad was raised in a dirt-floored log cabin, and so the hinges on the door had leather hinges, and so he turned those leather hinges into beads, and have like eagle bone on it, and wolf teeth, and I don't know, a few other endangered species. I don't really like to talk about it. When I was 20 in New York, my career hadn't taken off, but I got asked to be Dorothy in a production of Wizard of Oz. And it was an all-star cast. It was an amazing thing to be part of. There was Jackson Browne and Roger Dolce from The Who, and Nathan Lane and Natalie Cole and Deborah Winger. And all of a sudden they were like, "And Jewel is Dorothy," and they went, "Huh?" But I brought my dad down for that, you know, first time to New York City, and he wore his town clothes, you know, like his good hat and his leather vest and his creased jeans and his animal part necklace. His best one, which it was huge. And the show went really good, and afterwards there was like a cocktail party, after party, and all these fancy famous people and photographers, and somebody looked at my dad and said, "You know, you should sure be proud of your daughter there. She did real good." And it was just one of those moments when everybody got quiet at the wrong time. And everybody turned to see my dad at that exact moment hit the guy on the shoulder and go, "Yeah, I put my best sperm into that one." You gotta love your parents. Yeah, I'm embarrassed telling you about it. Anyway, I learned 4 chords. Got on the train in Detroit, ran out of money in Chicago, and I got off there, and that was the first place I street sang. Came from a town of 2,000 people, so seeing Chicago for the first time was really unbelievable, and I just made up lyrics about people and skyscrapers and stuff. It took me about 3 days to hobo down to San Diego, and I crossed the border there, and I did hitchhike from Tijuana to Cabo San Lucas, and then took a ferry over to the mainland side and went around there, and took a ferry back to Cabo and hitchhiked all the way back up to Tijuana without being murdered, so it was like a total success. Super! Oh gosh. It took me about 3 days to get back up to Michigan, where I took a Greyhound back to school. Never had to use my knife, that was nice. And I had written my first song, I just kept adding lyrics to these same 4 chords that went over and over, and I moved to San Diego, got discovered when I was 18. And it was like being Cinderella, you know, I was homeless and all of a sudden zines started showing up to my shows. It was an amazing thing I never thought would happen to me. And this first song I ever wrote became my first single on the radio. And the first time I heard it, I was so nervous in the studio I wouldn't listen to myself sing, so the first time I heard myself sing it was actually on the radio. And it was one of those amazing, magical moments when you know, I was driving and I pulled the car over on the side of the highway and I just really started to cry because it just really wasn't until that moment, you know, that I realized that I sang like Kermit the Frog. I was so nervous in the studio, I guess my throat kind of tightened up and I was like, who will save for? Oh, that was embarrassing. We ended up being embarrassing all the way to the bank, so it worked out.
Yeah!
I cannot thank you guys enough for being here. My life turned out so much better than it should have. There were so many turns. I just shouldn't be this happy, and I shouldn't have been this well-off and successful.